Yo, what's up, guys? This is your boy Aaron, aka Don. This is Inside the Screen, episode 1. We have, he's a global director. I've never heard that term before. I'm about to ask my Alexa in a minute. But he's a global director, social media for Still Series. We have Jon Koob, right? That's how you say your last name, right?
Boob,
I don't want to butcher
rhymes
it.
with boob. Yeah.
There
Rhymes
we
with
go.
boob.
There we
All
go.
good.
How you doing, bro?
What's up, man? Super appreciative.
Bruh.
Been looking forward to talking with you more. Basically, ever since we connected. So I'm super appreciative.
No,
Yeah.
100%, bro. What kind of mic you got, bro? You sound real crisp. I was gonna Ben ask you this, but I wanted to save it. That mic sounds
Yeah. It's a Shure SM something
okay.
something. I
Okay,
don't know. I don't know.
I feel you. How's this life though, Ben? Uh, you know, 2020's been a hell of a year. I think we all can say that. And how's it been to you when it comes to creativeness and stuff like that?
Yeah, man. Well, one, it has been an absolutely. Of course, it all depends on your perspective, how you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
how you frame this year. It's been a year that I've been recognizing my privilege more than ever, that I've been more in tune with things that I care about and people that I care about more than ever. And
Mm-hmm.
those, like getting down to what matters to me helps me have freedom in my day job, quote unquote, or in my daily interactions with people.
Mm-hmm.
Being confident in understanding what I want to be doing with my life and how I want to be helping others in my life
Mm-hmm.
allows me to have a little bit more creative freedom when I'm making a piece of content, sending an email, replying to a text,
Yeah.
because with that, with everything that's happening, you do your best to help people and contribute to causes that you want to contribute to, and have your voice heard in ways that you can make it heard. But in all of that, you start to become a little bit more confident in yourself, or I've become a lot more confident in myself with
Okay.
what I've been doing on a
Yeah.
daily basis. Because like this is the year that people and brands are getting exposed more than ever, and I
Mm-hmm.
say exposed in a
Good.
positive,
Yeah.
and it's a pro and a con,
Yeah.
because um, uh, like influencers, brands, companies,
They have to now
people,
question themselves what
corporate.
side of history they want to be on, right? Like,
Yeah. That question, I think this year more than ever, along with social media growing,
mm-hmm.
uh, almost putting pressure on people. Not almost, it is putting pressure on people to have a stance on something,
Yeah.
and I come from a company, Steel Series, and for anyone who doesn't know, we've been around since 2001. I've been at the company for a year and a half ish. Um, we're the first company in the space to make a dedicated gaming headset. Uh, the first product of ours was a glass mouse pad. Um,
Yo, for real?
yeah. Go ahead
Yeah,
and look it
that's
up.
a legendary
Yeah,
story.
feel free to whip it up on screen or at some point after this. But
Yeah, I gotta
um,
look it
I,
up.
yeah, I feel very fortunate to be with a company that, when a lot of this stuff was going down earlier in the year, specifically the George Floyd weekend, I remember thinking to myself, I just want to hop on our accounts right now and spill my heart out to the biggest audience that I, as an individual, selfishly have
Mm-hmm.
um, access to. And obviously, I held off before we had an internal talk, the morning after everything happened. But I feel so fortunate to work for a company and with the people that I do, that uh, we were very vocal about our support of uh, Black Lives Matter, different causes, supporting different Chicago specific
Yeah.
charities, which is where our HQ is. Um, and we've been like essentially loud and proud about different things since then. And something super interesting that happened. This was one of the reasons I think some of the companies that weren't as vocal about it maybe stayed silent, is that as a company, once you support one thing on the greater scale outside of your direct product or industry, it puts pressure and some obligation on you to support other things that come along.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys support Black Lives Matter? What about LGBT?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys support um, voting? What about in other countries? Oh, your company is a global company. Why aren't you guys talking about X
Yeah.
that's happening over here? Why are you only talking about NA specific issues, US specific
Yeah.
issues?
And would you say
That, that was,
that's a
yeah.
good thing though, right?
So this is what happened when we this was a big post for us. And also I'm very polarizing in the sense of like, I also believe like no brand is trying to actually be your friend. They're trying to get you to sell a product. But I also believe in the ability that brands have to bring people happiness and joy via services and goods and via things outside of their direct product or buying you something. So, and we can get into that later, but like when we made that first post that we were in support of BLM, it was almost like a weight got lifted off our shoulders because it allowed us to, in a very free way, speak about other things that people within the company care about vocally and as a brand. And again, it was something that I didn't expect to have as much of an impact on me, but like I felt way more proud to work for the company that I do after we put out that message, because I didn't think it would make as much of an emotional impact on me, but I was like, damn, like I shared that post.
You just realize shit, right? Like,
yeah, it's like, oh wait, the company I wake up for and like grind for lack of a better term, every single day, that like I represent in a lot of ways,
isn't using me as a cow, a milk, like just to get all my content and work and don't support the right thing. Yeah, 100%.
Right. So it's like shit. We're standing for something bigger than our industry, and outside of trying to get people to buy products or just make people laugh with some meme. Like, it was and it's been an impactful year like that since. And we've made some internal, I say internal, just like specific company decisions that are now like more in line with things that we believe in as individuals at the company. For instance, and now I'm practically bragging, but like we made the decision that all of our revenue up through our Twitch channel, the SteelSeries Twitch, which we'll do a few streams a week and we'll have partner streams and giveaway streams and things like that. Every cent of our channel revenue or profit goes to a different charity each month.
Bro, I seen that too, and I respected the fuck out of that. I was like, that's so smart.
Like, and we don't need to make money off of our Twitch.
Yeah.
But if you want to be part of a community that like is not only the SteelSeries community, which we think is pretty kick-ass, obviously, but if you're wanting to, be a part of us donating to something a little bit bigger than ourselves, here's the charity each month. We have a command. If you want to donate to the channel or subscribe, like none of that money is going into the streamer, like people who work at the company's pockets. It's not going to the company's bottom line. Like, it's going directly to whatever the cause is for that month. So there are things like that to kind of wrap up this thought, because I'll just keep going on a tangent. Like, there have been things like that throughout 2020 so far on the professional level that we've been doing those things at scale that like have allowed me to, on the day-to-day like micro level, be super confident in not only creating content, but like being myself while I'm creating that content, which is huge.
Be honest with you, I live in the country, so this podcast, I think this is gonna be an interesting podcast, and then not just yours, but the future ones, because I do live in the country.
Yeah, man.
There's a train right across me. So, but anyway, you said 2001. Yeah, I just want to know, if you don't mind sharing, how old are you?
27, 28 in a few days.
You know why I got so happy when you said 2001? Because I'm born in 2001. I am 19.
My guy.
Is the brand 19 years old? How old is the brand?
In next year is our 20th anniversary, man.
Whoa. So wait, hold up. Me and SteelSeries are the same age.
Same age.
Yo, man. That's some goat stuff. That's goaty.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And that's just funny to me. But back to SteelSeries though. I think this year has been one. If this year has given anything to anybody's time, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of time. Now, what you do with that time and how that time is affecting you is, and I said affect is because sometimes some people use that time, anxious, nervous, and just worrying. I know there's moments in this year where I've been like, bro, I don't even know how much time I've been in front of this. I feel like I'm Plankton. How about that? I feel like I can now relate to Plankton and SpongeBob. Like, now I understand he had the robot girlfriend. I feel like, this year has made me realize, like, I could have been Plankton. Like, I don't go outside. Sometimes I don't even catch myself eating just because I'm trying to overwork myself. Like,
absolutely.
And I always find myself in this rut because I think working over 1 o'clock on a daily is me working hard when it's actually me,
being inefficient possibly.
Exactly, in the long term of things, yeah. So, But
Like how's it been like? I mean, with 137,
mhm.
I mean, your guys' content is pretty wide as far as the
Yeah.
things you guys talk about. How do you break down, or how have you tried to approach what gets the spotlight when, or is it all just topical day of, or do you have some sort of percentage breakdown of, hey, week by week, could be day by day, we're going to talk about X this much and X this much, or hey, we can tell just by the cultural zeitgeist that this we need to start pumping this up a little bit more and maybe suppressing a little bit of this content. Like, how do you consciously think about that, or is
I,
it all just natural, intuitive?
I think it's everything. One, I think 2020 has tried 137 pm as a team and it's made us better because we've been
Mm-hmm.
writing, sad to say, we did have to let, some people go, which made us
Sure.
a smaller team. And so now you have a smaller media publishing company trying to cover MMA, cannabis, gaming, like all these things that we cover. Um,
Yeah.
but it's definitely, when we go about content, it's definitely, and at least for me, it's intuitive as far as like, and it's never let me wrong. Like anything I report when it's esports and gaming, that's what's hitting. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I've slipped up and be like, I'm not gonna say this because I feel like it's too early, and when I should have said it, so I can have the comeback of saying I said it before it happened, type situation. But when it comes to
Right.
content, I feel like we're one of those brands that know, like if we're talking about Pokemon cards, bro, that's because we're actually collecting Pokemon cards. Like I feel like some
Right.
brands they talk about this, that, and the third, but how many of those people talking about those things are actually doing those things? I don't know.
Sure.
And I don't say it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, you know, us actually doing the things that we talk about as far as like, yo, bro, I actually play video games. I've been playing video games since I was young. Many people don't know what this is,
Yeah,
and
man,
so
God, dude.
it's like, I'm blessed to work with a brand just like this that they actually do what they're about, and I'm all about that action. I won't smoke. They won't smoke. I won't smoke. And
Right.
so I think
Right.
that's kind of how our year has been.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's just incredible when a company, a brand, and obviously people, quote unquote, above you
Mm-hmm.
that you're working with, working for, or they might say they're working for you, is when they give you that freedom for you to learn on your own,
Yeah.
and they're not, like, for lack of a better term, they're not micromanaging.
Yeah.
And like, when you get brought onto a team to be actually doing the content posting, research, like
It's crazy you said
exploratory
that.
things with the demo, like when you get that privilege and that freedom from someone that is higher than you at a company,
Yeah.
that is everything, man.
Yeah. No,
Like,
100%.
and they like, and this is something I tell my team is, and that almost makes me cringe and feel uncomfortable saying my team, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
on like the social community side of Steel Series, like I I I say, if we're not making mistakes, we are not moving at the pace we need to be.
Yeah.
Because we need to be moving that fast that we're gonna mess up every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we have to be okay with that. And also, the more transparent we are with our community when we do mess up, quote unquote, like, the more freedom we have with our community to give them more and more content, like, at scale.
Bro, you bet.
Like, yeah.
I'm about to sound like Gary, goosebumps. You know how you saying he getting goosebumps? I don't know if I'm getting goosebumps, but that really just ran chills down me a little bit as far as like, that's
Yeah.
everything I think of when it comes to content. One, when I started off with 137pm, I was a resident. So I was a 3-month resident. Bro, those were the worst 3 months of my life. And the only reason I said that, and listen, and it was not because,
Oh, man.
the team.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's just funny how you say it.
It was just, and I don't even know why I said that because I've done like, Air Force training here and there and stuff. But like, as far as anxiety and overthinking and just, not even overthinking, but trying to be so precise a little bit, it's because, I'm the new guy, right? And now I'm talking about esports and gaming. I went from being a player in esports and gaming to playing video games all day to now having to be in front of a whole bunch of people talking about esports and gaming, and which I'm fine with. But it's like, I'm also thinking like, bro, like somebody can just say something and the brand thinks I don't know what I'm talking about. But every day when I was working at 137pm, I was like, I'm gonna get fired every day. And with me, being against the ropes is what I like. Like, I like pressure. I love putting up a post and somebody who thinks I'm not gonna comment back to that comment. Like, it's like maybe rude or sarcastic or it's like smart aleck. It's like, bro, I love those type of comments because now you're giving me power to exercise how to communicate with tough problems like yours. And so
100%.
like, I think that's one thing I've really gotten better at is like making mistakes. All right, somebody's gonna comment on my mistake. Of course, you got the grammar police. I am the CEO of typos sometimes. I'm gonna just claim that.
Yeah, owning it.
But it's allowed me to exercise. Mistakes allow you to understand things a little bit better, and I like that you said that.
What was the moment like that you went from feeling like you were going to get fired every day? Did you was there a moment, or did it just happen gradually where like more trust was given to you, or was there something, a specific post or a specific day or something that stood out that you were like, nah, this is my shit. Like this is like not like I own this.
Honestly,
I don't have the actual quote unquote worry anymore. And it might still be there to an extent, but it's obviously not the same extent that it was.
yeah, no, 100%. Like, I'm not at the extent where I'm gonna get fired right now, but it's like right now since I'm like full time and stuff like that, and I've done so much already. It's like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
Like, is it curated responsibly of like how I wanted to go about, and like by next year I want this brand to be known. I feel like I don't know, bro. I'm gonna say it on here. I want 137pm to be highly respected in the esports and gaming scene, just because everybody on the team plays games. You know, Gary owns, you know, Rocker. He also has, you know, version 1. But it's also the fact that, like, bro, I've probably played every single type of game there is, to FPS to MM. I'm like I started off. I started off like Mortal Kombat Deception. Started off on Tekken. Then I played like Super Mario and everything. Game. I wish I had the Game Boy right here. I have the OG Game Boy. But I think, you know, when I first started off, it was def like, yo, super heavy. You're gonna get fired. You're gonna get fired. So
yeah,
it's helped. You know.
Yeah, man. Like, in the gaming, like, especially when you're working at a startup, and I'll call it a startup. I'll call one. Is it appropriate to call 137 a startup? Like technically,
I don't
I know
really
you're
know.
not. But like whatever, like working at a startup anyway is something that I tell people who ask me all the time, how do you get into the gaming industry? They say like how do you, like, I want to get a job in gaming or esports. The first thing I tell them has nothing to do with like type of education or degree or courses or things. I say, go to angel.co and find a startup to work for, because there are a ton of esports startups that could use someone that's going to, hey, you might not get paid the best, but like find a paid position. In my opinion, sometimes you have to, there's different circumstances, but find a paid position if you can. Go work for a startup. But like working for a startup in general, you're gonna, like, especially in the gaming community, you're gonna feel so much pressure coming at you from different ways that you're gonna find out whether or not that type of the industry is for you, whether or not the work you're doing every day is for you. Like, because you get put into those pressure situations, just like you mentioned, up against the ropes, man. Like, you got to not be comfortable, because if you're comfortable, you're like
you're not progressing.
I know, like, and I'm sure throughout this, like, I'm full of cliches, but like I live by a lot of them of like you cannot be content in your day-to-day work if you expect to get a raise, grow, get promoted, like expand your professional well-being. Like, you're not going to do that just being comfortable every single day.
No, 100%.
Like, and that might mean staying up till 1 a.m. That might mean waking up at 5 a.m. That might mean taking more calls, doing X differently, trying new things, man. Like, and you get forced to do a lot of that when you work for a startup. I experienced a lot of that. Oh, damn, I'm going to get fired type mindset in companies that I worked for in the past. And like when I came into SteelSeries, it was one of the first companies, essentially the first company that I started working for, where I knew that I knew more about social than anyone else in the company. And I knew that right away. I knew more about community in the company. So right away, I just took the reins and was off.
Yeah.
And that was because of people that trusted me. Like, that was because of incredible people around me.
Right.
But at companies in the past, because of people I was working with under the goals of the company, things not being aligned, my own mental state, like, I was not as comfortable or confident in what I was doing at companies in the past. So the results I got there weren't as, like, they weren't as, I don't want to say just weren't as good, but like, I wasn't getting what I wanted to out of those, but I learned so much that allowed me to do what I can now, because I can look back at it in hindsight.
Yeah. Like, no, 100%. I get that.
Yeah.
Do you watch anime?
Ish. Not enough to talk about it on the podcast.
No. I like to ask that question here and there sometimes, you know.
No, man. Like, I grew up on DBZ Digimon, Pokemon.
That's
But
enough,
like,
Dan. That's enough.
yeah, but past that, it's one of those things that I am terrified to get into out of fear of addiction.
Yeah, no,
And
no.
and honestly, like, and here's like a segue to that into something gaming. I despise any campaign game and any MMOR even MMORPGs or anything that isn't just quick shooter FPS
Yeah.
games, because I'm so fearful of getting sucked in.
Yeah.
Because it's getting harder and harder for me to justify spending a long period of time on games unless I'm streaming or something. And like it's getting like I'm getting this weird mental thing where it's like, did I just spend like 2 hours
No. Yeah. And
doing this? And it's like, even if I'm playing Call of Duty where it's like 10-minute games or 20-minute games, if I do that for 2 hours,
then
I
you
feel
get
better
super.
than
Yeah.
like I'll feel better about playing Call of Duty for 2 hours than I would any other game that's not a shooter game
Yeah.
for 2 hours, because Call of Duty I at least have the justification of like, oh, I could have quit at any time though. But in other games, like, no, the games are 45 minutes long and I couldn't just quit in the middle of a game type thing.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I have the same thing with anime and like getting into series in general, man.
No, listen.
It's a good and bad thing.
Yeah, because when I get started, I get like. That's why, like it's 7 o'clock and I started on anime. Like as far as Attack of Titans, right? Or shows that I could remember that I really did that with is like The Walking Dead, Attack on Titans, and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's like episode 1 is like 7 o'clock, but now I'm on like season 2 and it's like 5 o'clock. You know how it's like the sun coming out, yeah. But when you said addictive, the first app that came into my mind, because I feel like everything right now is getting addictive. As far as anytime you're going online, it's like it's something to grab your attention, and now. TikTok, right? What are your thoughts on like just TikTok and its power? Because I feel like it's not even fully tapped into yet. Like I feel like it still has ways to go.
Super green right now, like super young. The app still somehow hasn't got completely disgusting with ads. Yeah. Like somehow like it hasn't been taken over completely by ads yet. Like they could easily be having an ad after every 1 or 2 swipes, and people would probably still be on it. Like there wouldn't be any incremental damage to like retention or growth, in my opinion. They haven't even like I feel like they haven't even started with like
show
their
one
ad.
Right at the beginning.
Either one at the beginning, and sometimes there'll be one in your like every 10, 20, 30 scrolls. Yeah, man. I mean, I could take this conversation a million different ways about TikTok, but it's the most addictive app and way to consume content, period, right now. Yeah, period. I'll unless this conversation is more structured, I will go off, man. Like
go. No, come on. Listen.
Like I started to get wind of it. I knew Musically, and Musically was like way more in my head of what TikTok is still in a lot of people's heads now. Of like, oh, Musically, it's just where people are dancing and lip syncing. It's for young girls, essentially.
Right.
Like, that was the stigma. And then I remember how like TikTok started, and there were a few huge people on that app from Musically, like the carryover. But there were a lot of industries early on last year, like late into last year, that like weren't super relevant on TikTok. Like gaming wasn't huge on TikTok end of 2019. It just in general. And a lot of other entertainment industries weren't putting out a lot of content on there either. So it admittedly was not on my radar as something I should be on as a professional in any way, or for the companies I was working for, or SteelSeries at the time. But it was always like, it was that, and then you get into that conversation with yourself as someone who manages social for a company of like, do we need to be on one more platform, or do we need to be doing better content on the platforms we're already on? Derp. Which like I hate that like conundrum of a statement or like question. I'm more of a like, no, you just test as much as you possibly can and just go.
Right. Let's find out. Let's go that route.
So I think the official start date of the SteelSeries account, it was either December or January, but we didn't start regularly posting content until late February, March ish.
Ooh, and you guys are.
We have
what?
720K, 718K right now. We didn't even have the SteelSeries handle to start. We had to be real SteelSeries because some other blank account had the SteelSeries handle. We obviously got that worked out, got verified. That was always very fun in the early days of like commenting on people's posts and people being like, this isn't even the real SteelSeries. What are you talking about? and then going back and looking at those comments and like, yeah, what now?
Yeah.
Because obviously it'd show up verified. But like the amount of brand that we've built through TikTok in the past, call it 10 months, we're reaching a demo that we're not organically reaching on any other
Yep. And, all right, so answer this question.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think TikTok has impacted your other platforms more than your other platforms? And other platforms, I mean, Instagram and Twitter have impacted Twitter, per se? Like,
Yeah. I'll do a lot of like just mini tests through like with TikTok specifically on like giveaway related things to drive people to other platforms, or like putting something in a comment section of someone else's video to like go check something out on Instagram, on our Instagram, for example. And I'll say like, hey, go comment X on our last post. It'll be like, I'll be like commenting on another influencer's post from the SteelSeries account. Like, and I'll make it related to the video. And I'll be like, if the video was like about cats, for just arbitrary, like if the video was about cats, like comment on that person's video from the SteelSeries account, say like, haha, great vid. I'm making this up. Like, haha, great vid. Go to our last post on Instagram and comment the cat emoji, and we might hook you up with something. And like going to our last post and seeing like dozens and dozens of people do that from a comment we left on someone else's video.
Yeah.
Or like putting a like a discount code, a 5% discount code in our TikTok bio that we didn't promote anywhere else.
So it's like, you better be paying attention.
Yeah, and then after a month, going to Google Analytics and seeing that it drove a lot of money in sales from people using that code when we didn't talk about it anywhere else besides the TikTok bio. And it was like, and that's just all like just me testing shit.
Yeah.
Like, and us like saying, oh, let's just try this, or let's try to like, hack the comment section of our videos. Like, let's try to create stories within our brand that nobody else besides our TikTok audience knows. Let's drive people to our Instagram. Let's drive people to, Twitter. Let's drive people to our Twitch channel. Like,
and do you think you can do that from Twitter and Instagram? Like right now. And then also like
No. Here's the thing. Because of the demo and because of the unsaturatedness, if I'll make that word up, because of the demo on TikTok being very young and in all honesty, sometimes like gullible, but extremely willing to follow through with the call to action. That channel, more than any other channel, you tell people to do something with an incentive, sometimes without an incentive, and a good portion of them will do it, a higher percentage than any other channel. If you go on Twitter right now with SteelSeries, which we have like 650K, something like that, you go tell them, hey, check us out on Twitch. We're live right now. Versus doing it in a TikTok that might get 10, 20, 30, 50,000 views, 100,000 views, and then putting it in the comment section with a link. You're going to drive more traffic from that TikTok than you will that tweet or that Instagram post. Because the audience on TikTok, like, again, them being younger, the context of the audience on TikTok is different than the context of the audience on any other channels. And like the amount of people who found out about SteelSeries for the first time through TikTok, these young teenage kids, people younger than teenagers, obviously, are using the app. Like, they're seeing SteelSeries for the first time on there. They might know us because of one influencer using our product or because of one type of product that we have that a bunch of kids in X community use. And then they see us posting other gaming related content. It's like, oh, wait, you guys don't just sell keyboards. You guys don't just do headsets. You guys have other products. You guys have a brand.
A lifestyle,
you guys have been around longer than just the past year that I've been on TikTok. Like, it's a completely new way to reach a demo that you do not reach organically on other platforms. Like, I'll take a look at our TikTok analytics and see the organic views we'll get in a month. I'm like, wow, this is more than we did through paid. Like, this is more than we did through
free,
paid.
Right? Yeah. This is crazy.
Like through content that myself and our community manager, shout out Kristen, like, that we're posting on that channel in our own free time because we enjoy it. Like not because we feel forced to because of a campaign or someone internally was like, hey, we need to do this for X partner or retail partner of ours. It's like, nope, TikTok is just our own little place to do our thing and just test. And I was gonna say, and we'll see times where we'll make content on TikTok, repurpose it for another channel, but it started on TikTok and it'll go viral on another channel too. And sometimes it won't. But the fact that we can use TikTok as a place to test that content, we're testing on any channel and, always cross-posting, always testing. But like, like the amount of places that or the amount of ideas and like content series that have even started on TikTok for us that we're now doing as a brand is just incredible.
Yo, shout out TikTok though. You wanna know why I say shout out TikTok? I just feel like when it comes to social media, I think they get how like our psychology mind works and stuff. Like you know, when I first joined the team, bro, I was telling I was like, I don't know if it was started in the team or we seen somebody ask us or ask Gary or wherever the question formed from, if TikTok was gonna become better than Instagram or was it? And to me, anytime I say something, it might not happen now, but it's my intuition, like my intuitive, like saying, like, yo, it's not happening now, but it's going to happen. And I think it happened. It's slowly in the process, but TikTok is so good because if you don't want to see somebody's content, you can literally just swipe up. I don't need to see their caption or nothing. It's literally one swipe. On Instagram, you have some people who post an essay, and so now it's like, okay, I don't want to see the picture. What makes Instagram think, or just what do you make, like, what makes you think that I want to see their caption now? And with TikTok, you can do all that in one swipe. You know, bro, I do a TikTok. People are calling me King. I'm like, bro, why are you calling me King? Like, but I'm like, yo, I like the gas, thank you, and stuff like that. But it's crazy.
And here's a beautiful thing about TikTok. The way that TikTok curates content for you is better than any other platform out there. Here are the examples. The amount of friends that are, I'll say my age, like even late 20s in general, early 30s even, that like they'll see somehow like through my other channels, like my Twitter or something, or I'll tell them about it, or it'll get brought up organically in conversation somehow about the SteelSeries TikTok, like how we're doing well on it, and some videos will go like mini viral within our community, whatever. And they'll be like, I just can't do TikTok. I just can't do it. And I ask why. Like I'll question them because I don't want them to get away with it. I say why. They say, well, I don't want to just watch a bunch of people dancing and like you go on there and it's just a bunch of teenage girls, you know, like shaking their ass, whatever it is. And it's so frustrating because it's like that's such the get off my lawn mindset of like, okay, but you spend all day on Instagram. Like, oh, but you spend all day on X thing. Oh, but you go watch Netflix for X hours. It's like what TikTok can do for you from like an escapism and an education and an entertainment point of view is off the charts, because when you get on that app, it immediately starts tailoring content for you based on the time you spend watching, based on how you interact, based on when you're swiping, if you swipe back.
How long you watch,
every single interaction that happens on TikTok that you as a user take better tailors content for you. So these friends that'll come to me, I'm like, okay, so what are you interested in? Oh, gardening. Oh, fish. Oh, cooking. Oh, exercising. They don't understand that if they spend a few hours on the app, they can get a feed of only the topics of interest that they have in their life will be. They don't understand. Like that's what people don't understand with TikTok yet. The older generation is like, if you spend time on it, the content will be tailored specifically to what you want.
So I got two things to say. I'm trying to fix my algorithm on TikTok.
Trying to fix it
on my personal, because every time I get on my personal, all I see is just beautiful woman, and me being the simple that I am, I go to the Instagram. They have a boyfriend. I'm like, oh, okay, we go back to TikTok and swipe.
I come back.
Yesterday, I'm like, bro, why do I have no gaming content on my algorithm? It's like, bro, that's what am I not like showing that I do that? But I'm like, yo, that's on with this 7 p.m. So let me follow all these pages on my personal. But also, I've been streaming on SteelSeries. As far as like if it's Twitch, like they can see my face and they can see the game. And I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like if TikTok was to put out a web form like YouTube, they might become, I'm not gonna say better, but they would give YouTube competition. And the only reason I say that is because when you talk about YouTube, you're talking about the recommendations that are so silly and out of this world. But when you talk about TikTok, you're always talking about an algorithm that knows you too well. And it's subconsciously, when a user is trying to say, okay, ooh, TikTok just put out this new YouTube form, it's like, I might go to that because they know me so well already. Like,
right.
I don't know.
No, it's a good point. And you have to know, we have to assume as marketers and as people in this industry that TikTok is working on longer format content and also better content storage and housing for people's profiles. Because right now, and they've tried to make little adjustments with when you find someone's TikTok on a For You page and you click on their profile, I don't know if you've noticed this update now, but it takes you to where that TikTok is in their page and it says the TikTok you just watched or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of when you go to their page and it just goes to the top of it and you don't know where that TikTok was that you just watched, because sometimes it's weeks, months in the past from the content that they
True.
posted.
Yeah.
So they're making little adjustments like that for better storage and better discovery of content when you find someone's profile, for example. I think, and again, it's like you have to assume that they're going to be starting to roll out tests in the next 3 to 6 months of longer format content. I honestly think so. Just like Instagram did with Instagram TV and Reel, like not Reels, but like Instagram TV specifically. Like every one of these platforms, like understands that a big part of growth is giving people more options of what to do with their content. It might start as one thing,
Yeah.
but like the companies that stayed as one thing aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you could give somebody, a social media manager, somebody who's just in this atmosphere, maybe 3 to 5 tips, what would it be to like make sure you're performing well, but make sure you're also saying, I don't know, I guess?
yeah, one of them is assuming you're working for a brand under the context of how you asked this question, making sure that you understand, these are in no particular order, making sure that you understand what your brand's values are. Like, and it's very simple. Like you'd think that'd be very simple, but the amount of brands that don't have an idea or very, very outlined, like what their pillars are of what they care about.
It's so funny you said that, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, oh, okay, X brand and X space. What are the 3 minimum, probably the 3 things that you guys care about? Okay, cool. X, X, and X. For like SteelSeries, esports is obviously a huge one for us. Yeah. Like innovation in the space, community. So like with lifestyle, for example, like these things, once you have those pillars of content, et cetera, those pillars of what you as a company or that company that you work for care about, it allows you as a social media manager, someone who's on the creative side, if you are as a social media manager, it allows you to better plan content, strategy, voice, et cetera. So that's one, is like you have to have that really honest conversation with whoever it is on your team internally or team of people. That might be the CEO, CMO, creative director, whoever it is. Like, what does our company care about besides the product that we make? Because that's going to help define what the company voice is, what the company strategy is for content, et cetera. Another one, and a lot of social media managers work solo and they also wear a ton of hats. Double down on what you're good at and spend very, very, very minimal time on what you suck at. Like, don't like, and that might mean, hey, we don't post like really nice 3D renders of things, or we don't have a ton of like, I work for a pharmaceutical company. We don't have a ton of really catchy, like eye-popping content, but maybe we can make memes about the industry that other companies wouldn't, because I know basic Photoshop, but I can't do 3D renders or 3D animation. So like knowing what you're technically good at is actually like, I think, an underrated part, because a lot of times as a social media manager, someone in the social space or creative or community space, you see what other brands are doing
and you want to copy
and it's so tempting to copy, emulate, even just say, hey, we could try something like that for our brand. Not a straight up like copy, but like, why aren't we doing short, 10-minute YouTube videos every week about X topic? It's like, well, because you're not comfortable in front of a camera and you never have been, and nobody in your company is either. So either you outsource to try to find someone who is, or you don't do that. Like, or you do it yourself. But like, there has to be those conscious, like, binary decisions of like, okay.
And awareness. Like, come on. Like,
like,
if you suck at it, just say, yo, I just suck at this. I know a lot of things that I suck at. And I just.
And like, there's like I preach, I'll say preach for lack of a better term, like self-awareness all the time. And like, when I see self-aware people, that's something I'm attracted to as a person, like on every level, like professionally, like romantically, emotionally, like mentally, spiritually. Like if you're self-aware, like if you're like, if you are self-aware as an individual, it's gonna be so much, I'm not gonna say easier for you, but more clear for you. Like what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, how you interact internally at your company, making sure that the company understands expectations. That's a huge one in itself. Like,
allows you to move faster too. If it's clear,
Yeah.
you can
Like,
steer a little bit better. So yeah, I love the way you
right.
put that too.
Like the another point to answer your question, like setting and managing expectations as as someone working in social, because you get into this weird space sometimes as someone working in social for a company where you're only really um, unless you're in like some very intense like paid social position where you're just doing like Facebook ads all day and Facebook and Instagram ads all day.
Yeah,
I'm talking about more of a traditional like non-agency, non-paid social manager. Sometimes
yeah,
you're working with paid, but understanding what expectations are and making sure not just the people you're working for at the company, but like everyone at the company is aware of what they can expect when they go to your brand's Instagram profile,
yeah,
when they go to your brand's Twitter. And like at the end of every week, month, when you as a social manager are giving your reports to whoever your boss is internally, whatever the team is that's actually looking at your results, that they have that you and them are extremely aligned on expectations, because it might not be like revenue might not be the goal.
mm-hmm.
And typically social doesn't drive like non-paid social, like organic, like typically doesn't drive a ton of revenue.
Yeah.
But is it driving impressions? Is it driving membership? Is it driving loyalty? Is it driving brand reach, awareness? Like what are
All so valuable.
those KPIs, blah blah, like more douchey brand words to drop, but like what are those KPIs that you can actually be aligned with, and like set the expectations with whoever's judging your work internally.
Yeah,
Because that again, it's all about giving yourself freedom. And how do you give yourself freedom within a company you work for? When you have confidence that the people you work for know and understand and trust what you're doing.
yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, those are a few. Obviously I can
Bro, you
go
can
on.
tell you've been in the game for a while. Like I feel like if I never asked you for your age, I probably would have figured it out. Like you everything you're saying is like you only know because maybe, and I'm not trying to assume, but experience. Like I feel like you've been through a lot of things that you're saying, and it's just
Yeah, man. The thing is, like, I've messed up so much,
yeah,
and one, I appreciate you saying that, but like, I've made so many fucking mistakes, man. Like, and I look back at like some of those mistakes, some of them bigger mistakes than others, um, and now like the hindsight, not even the hindsight, like I recognize this, and this is just like a good trait that I enjoy about myself. Like when I fuck up, I almost immediately do whatever I can to get over it, or like when something big happens in my life, whether it's positive or negative,
yeah,
but I'm talking about on a professional level, I immediately go to a place of, in 5 years, how am I going to be able to be on a stage and tell people about this, or talking one-on-one with someone that
yes,
that they might be able to get value out of it? Because if you can take yourself out of that moment emotionally when you fucked up, or when something happened to you, you got fired, and you can try, and of course it's difficult, like you have to have a ton of self-awareness and a little bit of like potential sociopath like personality trait, but like to be able to
it
separate
seems like
yourself
that,
from
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like to be able to separate yourself from your emotions in the moment when you fucked up or did something really really good,
yeah,
and look at yourself from that POV out, outside of yourself, and like even take some
yeah.
physical notes on like, what am I feeling right now, what could I have done better, what am I going to do from this moment? And then guess what, in 5-10 years you have a better way to explain what happened in that moment to give value to someone else,
Yeah,
and you get better and better yourself as
bro,
you keep rediscovering what you felt in those moments.
you are
And that's
speaking
what's happened,
facts. Yeah,
like that's what's been happening with me professionally, like every day, week, month, year, like since 2012 when I got into social. Like eh, you combine that, like having that mindset and trying to get better at it every day, along with being around a ton of really talented like people that trust you and that
yeah.
you learn from yourself, like,
You
and
don't panic, do you? Right? Like how
uh
do you feel about panicking? As far as like, I
now
don't
that
think you do it as much, right?
yeah, like the idea of panicking in a professional setting, especially in our industry,
Yeah,
is almost foolish to me.
yeah. That's
Like
exactly why.
now I'm very very privileged to say that. I'm very very
Yeah,
privileged to say that.
but
And I completely understand that. I say it from a point of this though. I work for a company that sells pieces of plastic to people.
good
When you
plastic, by
break
the
it
way.
down, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, not just plastic, aluminum, high
yeah.
aircraft grade aluminum. Um,
Good boxes, bro.
yeah, hell yeah. Um, but if you break it down in a sense like that, if you break it down into like what do we like what does the company I work for do, and this like kind of gets back into my like brands are not your friends type thing. Like like if you get down to like a human level of like what really matters, and you're giving it your all still, like I'm not saying like if you're slacking and you mess up, like that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like if you're giving it your all and you're over communicating with
Why are
whoever's
you?
expecting
Yeah.
things of you, like if you're doing what you should be doing, quote unquote, and you messed up, like that panic, hopefully you have some relief in that panic once you have like a better understanding of like what am I really doing here?
Yeah.
Like what are we as a company doing?
100%.
Like
And that's just, and I asked you, that question just because I know when people panic around me, bro, I just don't like it because it's like, bro, I'm already I'm already not panicking, but you panicking is like, okay, what else? What is the problem? And then it makes me seem like weird
right.
and like psychotic. Bro, true story. I was in New York. This is when I was working with 137. I mean, I'm still young, but this is when I had to move to New York. And I had an apartment. I had roommates. I was boiling an egg, right? I let it stay on the stove. I went to my room to go back to sleep. I wake up to my roommates. They're women, by the way, knocking on my door. She's yelling at me. She's like nervous. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna burn down the house! You're gonna burn down the house! You're gonna burn down the house!" And like, bro, the stove is on. The egg is like already. You know how eggs? You ever boil the egg and it burns and stuff? It's like, it's just gonna burn more. It's not really gonna like, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking at her, and I'm not ignoring her, but I'm like, okay, let me go make sure she, for one, turned the stove off. The stove is not off. I gotta get the mint. I put the egg in the sink, and she's yelling at me, and I started yelling back at her because I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm like, stop, calm down. Like, we're fine now. You do know we're fine, and I get her perspective too. It's like, bro, but we could have died, but it's like, we could have, but we now know we're not. So let's not stress about that. But I think that applies to me and probably maybe you or probably other people around all aspects of life. It's just like, if you're gonna panic, I think that's more unprofessional than you. Because I was gonna ask earlier, when you do that type of like not panicking or like charging into the game basically when you mess up, instead of being like sorry, I'm so sorry, like stuff like that.
Right.
It can seem unprofessional, but I think doing that and just not. I mean, I guess say I really effed up here with you and stuff like that, and then not caring, like not that I'm not caring, but like not being so hard on myself in front of you. From your perspective, you could be like, okay, this guy is just unprofessional. So maybe not doing it in front of that person, right? But I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling here, but
no. I think what you're getting at is like it's all context dependent.
Yeah.
Like everything is about the context of the situation.
Yeah.
Like because like you take your roommate who had the panic issue with the egg, something I didn't expect to be saying during this podcast.
Yeah.
But like that person might have had a lot of situations in their life where things went wrong, where like they're just naturally panicking all the time. They might there are a lot of different things that go into like panic and anxiety that I like, of course I like can't speak to any of like the mental health side stuff, and I don't necessarily want to get into that conversation just for the sake of time, and like I would love to be more well prepared about it, but like when you make a mistake or when there's something that could be worthy of panic, how you handle that situation like shows so much about you. And again, it's context dependent, professional versus some other more real life shit. Like
your bad knowledge was kind of off, but
yeah. But like how, like for instance, like when we have, I say this to the team I work with all the time. Like we are always one post, one comment, one screenshot away from tarnishing our entire brand. So and it like we are one Reddit thread, we are one YouTube video away by a big influencer from a flaw with our product, from something that I said on Twitter or TikTok, from a response that we had from somebody in a support ticket, from an email that someone sent internally, from a Slack message. We are always one screenshot or video or piece of content away from everyone hating us and disrespecting us as a brand and like just absolutely crapping on us.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, like I tell that to the people that I work with in an attempt to give them more freedom in kind of like a reverse psychology way of like, we have to keep testing things. Like we have to keep pushing it with our audience so that if/when we do mess up, we have the opportunity to make up for it in an authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're just posting, evergreen content that's just very basic and default about our products every day, and then something comes out, like an internal screenshot or Slack message or something like very bad. Obviously, PR is going to be in, and depends, again, all context dependent.
Yep.
But like, if we have the opportunity, like, to put out more and more and more content that shows us as being personable and like human beings, we have the opportunity to like show that we make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that brings people in closer with our brand.
So true.
People like, because it's actually relatable. Like, they made a spelling error, a grammatical error in a tweet, and then they just like, I don't delete those tweets anymore.
Me
like,
either.
I we do not get rid of those posts.
Yeah.
We make fun of ourselves for it.
Yeah.
Like, it just happened 2 days ago. I spelled like somebody's name wrong about a product we launched with them. Like, quite literally, this just happened. And I replied to the tweet and I said, "Sorry, long day. Please go buy more mouse pads." Like, and like people just like eat that up because it's like, yeah, right. So like, there's no like, and again, going back to something we started with the conversation with, like, it takes a while for your brand to get there.
Yeah.
Like, and if you put out so many pieces of content, if you're a little more personable, if you're doing things a little more human, and I hate that. Like,
that word. Yeah.
So again, I'm very polarizing with like, I hate that. I love it. But like, if you're more authentic, transparent, blah, 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 as a brand, you have more opportunity to mess up. Like, you have more opportunity to make mistakes, which
100%.
Like, if you want to be on top, you need to.
I agree. And so I think what we're going to do with this podcast is we might have to cut it up in 2, because I know I said 30 minutes and I think we're at an hour, but and it's like so many other questions I could just go in and ask, but I don't want to hold your time and stuff like that, bro. And I just appreciate you for being on here. Like, this is 001. I don't know if I'm gonna do something super cool and cheesy and be like, end this at 137 podcast or whatever the case may be, but I appreciate you being the first guest and just letting me and letting the people who's gonna be listening and watching also on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, like we said, in on just how you think about things and your perspective. I feel like, at least for me, I feel like I'm 50-50 about a lot of things, because it could be this and it could be that, and
yeah, man. And hopefully there's part 2 at some point. I know you and I are going to stay connected no matter what, man. Like, more than appreciative that you pinged me to be a part of this, and obviously, I respect the hell out of it.
So impromptu too. It's like last minute, but
yeah, and like, I respect the hell out of what you guys are doing, and obviously I'm like a fan of you guys' content in general and the brand. So more than appreciative to have the opportunity to talk with you more, man.
100%. Let us know if we can do anything. Yeah. So I know we're always trying to look to see if we can always do projects. So
yeah, man.
I appreciate you. But guys, this is the first episode of Inside the Screen with our global director, social media at Still Serious. And I did not ask him what a global director is, and I'm not going to. We're gonna save that. We're gonna save it. But I hope you guys enjoy, this listen. I hope you guys got a lot of value and insight from it. And that's a wrap.
Hey, thank you so much, man.